Good morning. I'm Dorothy Brown, and I look forward to sharing the leadership of this service with J.D. Stillwater and Jim Handshaw. We're in good hands. I welcome you to celebrate the transformative power of religious community. You will be changed by being here, and we will be changed because you're here. Whoever you are, wherever you live, whomever you love, whatever you do for a living, you are welcome at the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg. We invite you to join us for coffee hour following the morning service, either downstairs or on Zoom. I invite you to take a moment to hold our space as sacred. Please silence your devices and prepare yourself to be present. Online or in person, we are grateful you are here for this time together. Opening hymn 326. Our chalice to words by Karen Johnston. What if, when we light our chalice, we hear an invitation to welcome gratitude for the earth? And now, with this flame shedding light in your heart, think of something from the earth that you are grateful for. I'm grateful for the big hackberry tree in my backyard. And you? Special music now. Today, I'd like to welcome you to our 5th annual poetry service. Some of the poems JD and Jim and I will read are light and funny. Some are thought-provoking. The first poem falls in the first category, very light and very funny. This will also be the time for all ages, should there be any children here. But I want all the adults to respond, as well as the children. When I raise my hand, you say, "Namu, namu, chirp, chirp." Namu, namu is a Buddhist term meaning roughly all hail. So I'll narrate, and you can join Jim and JD in response when I raise my hand. Namu, namu, chirp, chirp by Frank Owen. Here in the slow light of the morning, let us bend our ears to the wisdom being sung.
Namu, namu, chirp, chirp.
It's on the wind, it's in the branches, it's on the rooftops, treetops, on the roadside fences.
Namu, namu, chirp, chirp.
Getting good. The season is changing. The season has changed. The season is changing.
The season is changing. The season is changing. Namu, namu, chirp, chirp. Namu, namu, chirp, chirp. It's twice there.
Days are getting shorter. Nights are longer. Cooler days are blowing in.
Cooler days are blowing in. Cooler days are blowing in.
Namu, namu, chirp, chirp. Namu, namu, chirp, chirp. The feathered tribes are gathering. The longing to travel is spinning within them. Soon they will take flight.
Soon they will take flight. Soon they will take flight.
Namu, namu, chirp, chirp. Namu, namu, chirp, chirp. Shimmering and colorful, luminous, rainbow bright, dusky brown, gray, and light, the feathered tribes are leaving.
The feathered tribes are leaving. The feathered tribes are leaving.
Namu, namu, chirp, chirp. Namu, namu, chirp, chirp. Send them off with a wave and a bow until they return with springtime's blooming.
We'll welcome you back with the warmth and the light. We'll welcome you back with the warmth and the light.
Namu, namu, chirp, chirp. Namu, namu, chirp, chirp. So any children can go to their classes.
Let us open our hearts and minds now to a time of meditation and prayer, a time to give expression to our joys and our sorrows. Life inevitably brings joys and sorrows, worries and triumphs. In community, we often find that sorrows shared are eased and joys shared are multiplied. What burdens of worry or sorrow weigh heavily on you this morning? What joys or gratitudes lift your heart? We invite you to share them now through writing them on a slip back there or typing them in the online chat if you're watching from home. Please indicate whether it's okay to share your message out loud. You can also honor your joys and sorrows by placing a stone in the water of community up here in the front. Please use the side aisles to come down. This contradicts itself. I'm just reading. Come down the middle, returning to your seats by the side aisles. That'll work. Spoken or unspoken, our hearts join with yours in bearing and celebrating all that life brings. Joys and sorrows indeed. James Henninger Voss shares that for the people of Ukraine and Palestine, we are enduring ice and snow in our homes. They have lost their homes altogether. Jim Kavanaugh writes, Nan is slowly recovering from the trip and fall that injured her knee. And someone shares anonymously that UCH member Kate Quimby is in her last days. She's under hospice care. Her children and all of her grandchildren gathered round her at Columbus Cottage last weekend. Kate's Parkinson's brought with it dementia, which progressed rapidly. And Stillwater shares, after a month and a half away on a full and successful tour, it is wonderful to be back at UCH, and I especially love the new restroom signage. Apparently others do too. Dan Vaughn shares, he would like us to lift up his daughter, Natalie, who is in need of employment. Thank you. I've been struggling to read this. Thank you, Dan, for helping me out. We place one more stone in the water of community, representing the joys and sorrows that remain silent in our hearts and minds. Hymn number 1055. One more last sorrow that I should have remembered myself. David Walker, our former music director, died on Friday. And we who sang for him, Jim Cavanaugh writes, will miss him. He was here a long time and led the choir well.
Sometimes poems help us know how to live our lives. Today we're reading one classic, famous poem and two modern poems that you may not be familiar with. As Jim and JD and I read a poem, let the meanings wash over you and enter your minds and hearts.
There is currently some debate among philosophers and physicists about whether we humans truly have free will or whether every apparent choice we make is the inevitable consequence of brain chemistry and physiology, which of course are in turn inevitably built from all that we have experienced in our lives previously. And I think it's still too soon to draw any conclusions about free will. But it seems to me that Walt Whitman may have considered what makes up the contents of a person 150 years ago, ponderings that may have inspired his poem, There Was a Child Went Forth Every Day. There was a child went forth every day, and the first object he looked upon and received with wonder or pity or love or dread, that object he became. And that object became part of him for the day, or a certain part of the day, or for many years, or stretching cycles of years. The early lilacs became part of this child, and grass, and white and red morning glories, and white and red clover, and the song of the phoebe bird, and the March-born lambs, and the sows' pink faint litter, and the mare's foal, and the cow's calf, and the noisy brood of the barnyard, or by the mire of the pond side, and the fish suspending themselves so curiously below there, and the beautiful, curious liquid, and the water plants with their graceful flat heads, all became part of him. And the field sprouts of April and May became part of him, winter grain sprouts and those of the light yellow corn and of the esculent roots of the garden. And the apple trees covered with blossoms and the fruit afterward, and woodberries and the commonest weeds by the road. and the old drunkard staggering home from the outhouse of the tavern whence he had lately risen, and the schoolmistress that passed on her way to the school, and the friendly boys that passed, and the quarrelsome boys, and the tidy and fresh-cheeked girls, and the barefoot Negro boy and girl, and all the changes of city and country wherever he went. His own parents, he that had propelled the father stuff at night and fathered him, and she that conceived him in her womb and birthed him, they gave this child more of themselves than that. They gave him afterward every day. They and of them became part of him. The mother at home quietly placing the dishes on the supper table. The mother with mild words, clean her cap and gown, a wholesome odor falling off her person and clothes as she walks by. The father, strong, self-sufficient, manly, mean, angered, unjust, the blow, the quick, loud word, the tight bargain, the crafty lure, the family usages, the language, the company, the furniture, the yearning and swelling heart, affection that will not be gainsaid, the sense of what is real, the thought if, after all, it should prove unreal, the doubts of daytime and the doubts of nighttime, the curious whether and how, whether that which appears so is so, or is it all flashes and specks? Men and women crowding fast in the streets. If they are not flashes and specks, what are they? The streets themselves and the facades of houses, the goods in the windows, vehicles, teams, the tiered wharves, and the huge crossing at the ferries. The village on the highland seen from afar at sunset. The river between. Shadows, aureola and mist, light falling on roofs and gables of white or brown 3 miles off. The schooner nearby, sleepily dropping down the tide, the little boat slack-towed astern. The hurrying, tumbling waves and quick broken crests and slapping. The strata of colored clouds, the long bar of maroon tint, away solitary by itself. The spread of purity it lies motionless in. The horizon's edge, the flying sea crow, the fragrance of salt marsh and shore mud, these became part of the child who went forth every day, and who now goes and will always go forth every day. And these become of him or her that peruses them now.
You may have noticed I dropped this, and I was frantically trying to find it. They say that only poets and comics get closest to the truth. Poet laureate Maya Angelou often spoke about the profound impact of words. She believed that language has the power to shape our realities, heal wounds, and connect people. One of her famous quotes is, quote, "Words are things. You must be careful. They get on your walls, in your upholstery, in your clothes, and finally into you." She emphasized using words to uplift, encourage, and bring about positive change, highlighting their transformative power. I am so blessed to read poetry today. Dorothy Brown, the poet laureate of UCH, knows me well enough to give me a poem that touches my heart after I read it about 20 times. Oh, now I get it. The poem is Aficionados by Julia Alvarez. I have a friend who tangos and attends meetings in Helsinki Amazingly, the largest convention of tango lovers in the world. Day after chilly day, the couples 1-2 swoon, 1-2 and turn across the mirrored ballroom as snows fall beyond the steamed-up windows. Just last year, he met a dental hygienist from Maine and fell madly in love. I see him dancing in shiny black shoes and red cummerbund. She, in a long, I think required, skirt, a slit revealing vistas never seen in Maine. Vistas she surely never sees peering down throats, her hands on countless cheeks. Another man I know adores Star Trek and meets with other Trekkies once a year. Get him started and the dinner party is ruined. Except for the amusement of seeing him so worked up every month. I send a dying stamp collecting friend stamps, saved from letters from island aunts. Gaudy virgins, miniature dictators, flowers so otherworldly, my friend says, he'll soon be seeing native specimens. The man who cuts my hair spends his spare time making doll furniture. Each time I hear of some new passion, I feel gratitude at one more instance of the many ways we learn through what we love to love the world, which might be all we are here to do.
I'm going to read the Magellanic Clouds by Diane McCoskey. What we do for a living affects us very much. This is a long poem, 5 minutes long. Diane McCoskey reflects on what she's given up in order to become the writer she wanted to become. The hardest thing for her to give up was having marriage and children. Her mixed emotions about her missing children come through clearly in the poem. The Magellanic Clouds themselves, I think, represent her life in poetry, all-consuming. But it also relates to us. Whenever we choose one way, we lose other possibilities. The Magellanic Clouds by Diane McCoskey. The photographic plate is blurred. That blurry area is where you laughed and breathed on the plate. Lizard skin, prickly pears roll out of your mouth. A purple bird twists your tongue with his beak. And crazy cactus leaves of love pin you luckily to one man. You have a mouthful of stars when you laugh, and you fall over the Milky Way at your feet. Next door, the Magellanic Clouds swirl and try to force their way into your paintings. But you are too happy painting little hearts and big hearts and sticking them all over your husband, who is a river washing silver fish over you in the night. Look carefully. My scream makes a silver line on the graph. The photographic plate is blurred. That blurry area is the Magellanic Clouds from another galaxy. Inside me swirls something like the Magellanic Clouds. All the animals I ride on are found in the Magellanic Clouds. My life is destined to be a cloud. Galaxies, light years removed, a dust storm on the river, fog over the mountains. A handful of dust with tiny shell fragments, a gold outline against the sky. How can I explain it to you and all the succulent women I know, wives, mothers, loved, protected by men they love, having a shoulder to curl their heads in at night? How can I explain it to myself, this dust storm that is my life? I talk in my sleep, just as I talk when I'm awake. No one listens to me but strangers. Once a blue vein of electricity came to me from the Magellanic Clouds and said, "There is a price on everyone's life." Uncurling my ears like new leaves, I looked at my world, my scarred body, my missing children, separation from the men who spoke my language. The price is to walk alone up the stairs, alone with your candle, and alone down the stairs every morning with white footsteps and teacups of tears. In your daydreams, you must carry the bodies of your children wrapped in white and strapped to stiff boards. People will chase you and accuse you of murder. The children will sing in your ears and cut you with the sharp corners of their smiles. Your songs will be bled out of you every day as you are cut with different tools: razor blades, knives, scissors, grass, paper, glass. One day the words will come out of your elbows, one day out of your knees. Scars and holes and craters will cover you, but the words you've bought will creep out of holes like beautiful skeins of thread. Someday I will vanish in the Magellanic Clouds, but wait in rooms to get inside of paintings. Even the electricity, the fire, tells me I will not have to spend all my time in the sky. Someday it will be my breath, blurring the photographic plates, and the astronomers will say, "See that cloudy spot on the plate? We once thought it was the Magellanic Clouds, but they've moved further out into space. It's something new, and another enormous cloud made up of strange gases and former qualities. It's something new, and we have no name for it yet." And I will breathe harder and will blow harder and blur more of the plate, and will pass through rooms and rooms and rooms of memories in the shape of apples, birds, iron wheels, the clouds, the Magellanic Clouds, the clouds in my heart, the clouds I ride on, the clouds always in the next room, seeping under the door. I am a cloud, dust on the desert, fog over the waters, gases in the sky. Can there be any sadness once I am named?
Beautiful. The Unitarian Church of Harrisburg is, as always, an intentionally gathered congregation of freely thinking, loving people. The church is created, sustained, and supported by all of us. Each month we share half of our Sunday plate with a local nonprofit organization. And for the month of February, we're sharing with the Susquehanna Harbor Safe Haven. Susquehanna Harbor Safe Haven is a residential facility offering support and stable housing to men who are or were chronically homeless. It's managed by the Christian Churches United of the Tri-County area. And the program is designed to help chronically homeless men, those living on the street for a year or more, many of whom are also dealing with mental illness, to get off the street. If you wish to contribute online, see the QR code on the back of your order of service or visit our website at uchbg.org. And that's uchbg.org. And scroll to the bottom of the page for options. Your financial support and commitment really matter. Please consider giving what you're able. With gratitude, we receive these gifts and dedicate them to our shared work, serving human wholeness and welcoming the stranger, caring for our planet, and upholding religious freedom, walking together always with love and compassion. We affirm together each week our mission to encourage, equip, and empower, and we ask that you join in the affirmation of our covenant with one another as we do that. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
The following poem is based on an actual experience James Wright had while driving home on a late afternoon with his friend Robert Bly, a fellow poet. They pulled off the highway and stopped to admire two ponies. A Blessing by James Wright. Just off the highway to Rochester, Minnesota, twilight bounds soft forth on the grass, and the eyes of those two Indian ponies darken with kindness. They have come gladly out of the willows to welcome my friend and me. We step over the barbed wire into the pasture where they have been grazing all day alone. They ripple tensely. They can hardly contain their happiness that we have come. They bow shyly as wet swans. They love each other. There is no loneliness like theirs. At home once more, they begin munching the young tufts of spring in the darkness. I'd like to hold the slenderer one in my arms, for she has walked over to me and nuzzled my left hand. She is black and white. Her mane falls wild on her forehead, and the light breeze moves me to caress her long ear that is delicate as a skin over a girl's wrist. Suddenly I realize that if I stepped out of my body, I would break into blossom.
In this deep winter, may we live from the center of our being. May we find our deep places and go there for strength. May we see poetry all around us. May we see poetry in every face. May we see poetry everywhere.